Hi, and welcome to Heal the Dogs with Celeste. I am Celeste and I've been working with dog owners since 2013. This podcast is where I talk about the things that come up again and again in my work, what's really happening underneath your dog's behavior, and what's happening between you and your dog that you might not have looked at yet. Today, for this first episode, I want to start with something that comes up a lot: anxiety. Your dog's anxiety, maybe your own anxiety. And I want to challenge that word a little bit because, in my experience, what looks like anxiety is almost always something else. So let's look at this story, if you may. I hear some people tell me, I'm an anxious person, hence I have an anxious dog. Or, what if I am anxious and I buy a dog and the dog will become anxious? There's no 1 + 1 is 2 here. It's not wrong to think that you might affect your dog or your dog might become anxious because you're anxious. It does make sense, but it's a story. It's not the full picture. And what should you do about it then, if you have an anxious dog? Dogs are genuinely amazing at picking up how we feel. This is real. Some dogs can even warn their human before a seizure. But there's a difference between a dog trained for that job, a service dog, with structure and purpose, and a pet dog who's just watching you constantly with no job to do. That pet dog might become anxious. A dog without structure may constantly monitor you, and that's not helpful to the dog. The dog is absorbing a lot of pressure and stress. So what matters more than how you're feeling is how you're actually communicating with your dog, your body language, your consistency. Dogs are not as fragile as we think. They don't need you to never feel anything. They need you to show them, I've got this. I know there's been some actual science now suggesting that anxiety can have a genetic component in dogs. I think it's worth knowing, but it doesn't change the approach. Even if a dog has a predisposition, what they need from you is the same: clear guidance, someone showing them, I've got this. The genetics might explain why some dogs need more guidance than others, but it still doesn't change what guidance looks like. All dogs have different personalities, so some dogs need more guidance than others. So think about this. What if the anxiousness is actually confusion? Maybe an anxious dog is actually a confused dog. Confused meaning the dog is looking for guidance to understand the human world. The guidance is not clear to the dog, not in the subtle, quiet, silent dog language the dog actually understands. So the dog starts monitoring you, managing the situation. You may see the dog either become more hyper or become more, let's say, introverted, withdrawing. Looking at your dog as being anxious can feel heavy, can feel like, my dog is anxious, what can I do? Your head starts to spin. You start Googling different solutions. Maybe you start reassuring your dog more. You start trying to redirect your dog. You just spin around in, how can I help my anxious dog? And maybe you haven't found the solution. If you think about it as your dog being confused, it might mean that your dog is waiting for you to understand your dog. A dog being confused can actually help you solve it. There's a solution to the problem, and you are the solution. I would say an anxious dog might start following you. Is a dog, you'll see them panting a lot. They will be pacing in the house. They will have a difficulty relaxing. they'll find it very difficult just to be peaceful. And I don't mean dogs need to be peaceful 24/7, but it's an energy. My dogs follow me in my home, but there's a difference between following with diluted eyes, panting, and just you see the pressure in the body of the dog. Or a dog that's more thinking, what's in it for me? Where's she going? You might also see that your dog is hypervigilant, scanning, always alert, difficulty in settling. These are some of the signs that the dog is anxious, and I would say confused. The dog needs something from you. The dog needs you to understand how the dog perceives the human world. If you think about other symptoms such as barking, jumping, separation anxiety, whining, pulling on the leash, these are all not separate problems. They all come from the same root cause: confusion in the guidance and communication between dog and owner. There is something that you haven't understood about the dog's way of communicating. And it's totally fine, because it's not something we know just by buying a dog. It's something we need to, experience, see, be curious about. So once you understand how to address the cause with guidance and communication, your dog can actually understand what you're expecting from the situation, from the dog. And you will start seeing that all these isolated problems, maybe the barking, the pulling on the leash, or the dog not coming when you're calling for them, the panting, they actually are connected. You'll start to see the world from your dog's perspective. One dog asking for the same thing in different moments. It just looks different in different moments. So if you have a rescue in your house, if you invite a rescue into your house, you don't know about the past of the rescue most often. We might start to attach to a story about the dog and what the dog may have been through. But what the dog really needs is clear, safe guidance it can feel and understand. Without that, the dog often shows anxious behavior, sometimes even more after a while as uncertainty builds. So how to understand this? The first day the rescue enters your house, they will start observing what is going on. They will start observing what is going on in your household, how your pack is communicating with each other, who is communicating what. And remember, the dog is scanning for this silently. So the dog might, depending on the personality, might be more like a hyper dog or a more dog that withdraws, introverted dog. And after a while, normally after a couple of months, the dog will start to show its true nature, you can say. Maybe some of the symptoms will start showing up. And you would think, I don't understand this. This dog was so easy and quiet in the beginning, or we had a good communication, and now the behavior seems to have changed. It's because the dog is always looking for guidance. And if your dog entering your house haven't found that guidance in you, it will start to feel the confusion. A confusion always builds stress. And the different symptoms, like I said, barking, pulling on the leash, jumping at guests, you name it. It's the same thing with a puppy. We invite a puppy into our house. The puppy is looking for the same clear guidance it received from its mother and the pack. So meeting a new human family is often a very different communication going on. And in time, stress might build. Symptoms start to show, anxiety and confusion grow together. So this might take only a few months before you see that there's something that your puppy needs from you. Or it may take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on the dog and the personality and the situation. Then there's a senior dog. If you invite a senior dog into your house, the senior dog is perfectly aware that he or she is vulnerable. So they actually need that guidance even more, that structure. They need that space to just relax, retire, take it easy. So they will also look for that guidance. The common thread is that the dog is always looking for guidance. It can completely understand by that the dog's own language. Dogs are very adaptable and can cope in many situations, as you probably know. But if you're looking to create deep bonding and real trust, it becomes your job to see the human world through the eyes of your dog and understand what your dog actually needs every day in each situation. So if you ever felt like your dog has anxiety, or maybe you felt that way yourself, I want to leave you with this. It might not be anxiety. It might just be confusion. And confusion you can actually do something about. Thank you for listening to Heal the Dogs with Celeste. You can find me at healthedogs.net, and I'll see you in the next episode.